What's up, my people? It's time again for some real talk with Mr. O. And again, we're getting ready to have a conversation on according to the lie. I want to do a little clarity about my platform title. I don't want you to think I'm according to the lie, but it's a conversation on according to the lie. And what's the lie? White corporate media. As I pointed out in all of my videos, I've stated very unequivocally that the white media is the visual scriptures of our times, except that we see it on CNN, ABC, Fox, Instagram. And again, if you don't think your social media is a part of the white media structure, you're in la la land. You better have another thought coming because you're being conditioned through your favorite social media outlet, Instagram, and all that nonsense as well. But they're the visual scriptures of our time. Except we see it in those venues, we don't believe it's real. I also have said in all of my videos that the white media's function is to lead us away from the truth and then into confusion, to look to it for clarity, which it will never give. It only will provide other disinformation for confusion to depend on it. It plays the game that it's in the game of informing, educating. That's why you always get these clips of these news people trying to tell you what to do in this situation and what it's like in this situation, or giving you hope and aspirational reporting. A whole bunch of series that I'm going to get into in my platform. But for right now, I just want to deal with our current conditioning by the white media, because I've also said that the white media basically is into thought control. We're way past mind control. They're part of the social engineering, the construct. Our thoughts are not even our own. Our thoughts are those thoughts devised by them. So enough said about this name of this platform and what we're all about. Let's get on with this real talk with Mr. O on this conversation according to the lie. Looking back at our week, we can celebrate the convict murderer, Derek Chauvin, that's been convicted of murder. Like everybody, I was elated, ecstatic, happy. Praises to the energy, to the ether, to Ogun, to all forces, the divine force that brought down this verdict through people. Yes, through people. But as it went down, I want to deal with this topic. It's still a kangaroo court. It's a kangaroo court. And white media game of extreme pro-police reporting as it was going down in our very eyes. They play a trick, family. They got a design. They are onto something, and there's a purpose for that. The police is the enforcement arm of this country and of white supremacists anywhere on this planet. So want to be white supremacists. They are the one that maintain the social order. You got to understand that. If we get into that conversation, they maintain the social order. Look through history. Again, I hate that I can start saying so many things because it makes my video longer than I wanted to, but they maintain the social order, and I'll get into that. Because we don't got into the illusion of American progress, and we think we've overcome, everything has changed, it's a new day. And that's what the white media is doing to us. They're making us feel like it's a new day. The system worked. We're all in this together. COVID-19 pandemic. We're all in this together. We're overcoming. A change is about to happen. And this is not to belittle, demise, discount, again, the verdict and the justice that should be delivered to the family, to the Floyd family, for the murder of their loved one. No. There's nothing, no distraction, detractors from that. But the main thing is, again, I want to do in my platform is point out the game that is before us. And that game is this. There's a need to maintain us as a bottom caste people. There's a design to hold us down as the bottom caste people. There's a design to continue to outlaw our progress. And it's all really based on money and economics. I'll get into some of that later. But let's look at this topic here. Before I get into it, I want to make sure I cover myself. by quoting for you here this, because again I said it's about the white media. I'm going to be looking at those sources of the white media that keeps conditioning us to accept this nonsense of the kangaroo courts, the kangaroo court that's going down. It is a kangaroo court. Why is it a kangaroo court? Because, as I've said in my video about white splaining, there's a different set of rules for white people as compared to a different set of rules of being applied to us. And the rules of this country is pretty much designed to maintain white people advantages. Again, why? Why do I say that? I say that because it is the Constitution of the United States that put in place the 3/5 compromise that placed us down as the bottom caste, that legalized and sanctioned us as the natural enemy of white folks. And thus, through the Constitution of the United States, you get traditions and customs, our traditions, our values, that legitimize that, hey, blacks are inferior, thanks to pseudoscience, scientists out of European, all that nonsense. I shared that with you in other videos. Check them out. You get into that pseudoscience that sanctioned us as inferior, naming Africans as inferior to white people. Okay, so again, it is from the origins of this country, the foundation of this country, and the foundation mainly, as I just alluded to earlier, of maintaining this bottom caste is based on economics. Enough said on that. So I'm going to be pointing out how the new media plays its part in maintaining this social order. Okay, but for now, let's go ahead and look at this thing. What is the thing we need to look at? What are they saying to us all the time? Things have gotten better. We're celebrating. You know, let's look at it. It can be done. And you know what? We really believe. We are the true believers. We are the real Americans who believe in this system. But we have a problem where we got these people who want us to start from right now. Don't look back. We can't control the past. We're going to deal with right now. And take this moment and celebrate and look forward, as the district attorney Ellison said, this is a chance for us to turn the corner. Paraphrasing him, he didn't say it exactly. Then he went on to talk about the George Floyd act in Congress to make a difference, to change the country. Because we can't look at the past. And I'm going to share that clip with you where he says, hey, I call them the clear people. These are the people who are raceless, who, again, look at my piece on the clear people, who can't identify their enemies, who are cowards in the face of wannabe white supremacists. Actually, will try to tell white folks, hey, I'm not like the rest of them. I'm not like the other black people. So, but these people are one of these. We can't do nothing about the past. We're gonna take this moment, like here in Georgia, they put this Negro in, announced a Negro to be over the Stone Mountain Park here, recreational park out here, and he wants to say, hey, we're nothing we will do about the past. What we want to do now is just really enjoy, have a great place where we can all come out and enjoy and have picnics with our families at a great place to relax. Who wants to sit down under the big Stone Mountain statues and carvings of our enemies, the people that lynched and hung and want to enslave our ancestors, and if they live today, they want to enslave us to this day too. The real history behind the Civil War, it wasn't about no states, right? It's about those people, what they said during that time. We're trying to maintain our way of living. That's slavery. And Africans are not equal to me. But let me get on point. Like I said, this system is rigged. It's been rigged by the foundation since its origin. And I'm still in the beginning. I got into this thing 9 minutes. Let me move on to where I want to be with this. So we're the one who's bought into the illusion of American progress. And the clear people that Boule class, the 10%, who don't care nothing about the 11 on down, they've really got us hook, bamboozle over the head, as Malcolm has. We've been bamboozled by these group of people. But that group of people are looking out for themselves only, and about money for just themselves anyway. So let's move a little further in my conversation. What I want us to see? In this conversation, what I want to focus on is this factor here with the kangaroo court. and that is the convict murderer. He didn't just violate the 11th Amendment, as Dr. Martin Luther King pointed out back in his day, thou shalt not get caught. He violated the 12th Amendment, thou shalt not get video. Think about that. He violated the 11th Amendment, the 12th Amendment, and that is, thou shalt not get videoed. I call them amendments, not commandments, because they ain't messing with the Bible thing. I'm saying amendments to the Bible thing, because this is the real talk right here. Where they got theirs from is they stole it from the negative confession off the wall, off the temple walls in Africa. But anyway, we'll deal with that in Egypt. We'll deal with that. That's the point of all. What I'm saying is going to play right into what the whole video is about. But anyway, we're talking about thou shalt not get video. That's where he messed up. His arrogance. He thought this system was going to back him up. And if you don't think that court TV is a part of the white media structure of conditioning your mind, you better have another thought coming. I watched court TV all through it, and I tell you, they played the same role just as CNN and Fox do. They have the two sides to every story nonsense going down, and they had this Indian wannabe white folks, like Kamala Harris, talking about, well, I think that this did a great job. I think you got some doubt out there, and why else did you have all these experts on there? Except you wasn't sure of your case. You had all these experts. So I really love that's pro-police. Pro-police reporting, pro-police slant. And pro-police slant and reporting gets you confused about the issues. It gets you to suspend your common sense. We'll talk about that in a moment. With these crazy words, and words are important. The English language is the most diabolical language on the planet because a word can take on several meanings. And sometimes the same word can even contradict itself in its own meaning. How is that possible? It's a hodgepodge of languages. As you look up the history of the English language, that's the truth. That's we shouldn't even be speaking English, because anybody that talk automatics want to say that, hey, we talk English, then we at war with each other. It's a bad language. It's a effed up language. Good English, the King English. Ain't no such thing as good English, excellent English. It's a depend language. It depends on something. Like in economics, it depends on something to make sense. So ain't no perfect English. But anyway, get back to my point. These words that they throw in front of us was conditioning words to throw us off the game. And to throw us into confusion, to look to it for clarity. And the clarity it want is that, hey, let's maintain status quo. So how did he mess up? He messed up by he got videoed, and he was arrogant. He depended. He knew. He had no doubt in his mind that, hey, what they said back in Mississippi, at the Emmett Till, I'm glad he brought that out, the family member. No good Mississippian gonna ever convict a white man of killing a nigga. Okay. That was his arrogance. Some silly girl on court TV you're talking about. I don't think he was arrogant. I just think that's the way he is. Yeah, he was arrogant because he really thought that they were not going to convict him. He really thought it should have been just another justifiable homicide. He messed up. And that's why all of them lined up against him. And because at this point in time, open racism is not profitable. He should have had sense enough to stop, they thought. Oh, dummy, jackass. He should have stopped. Okay? But no, he was confident that they would not convict him. Again, I'm pushing my time. Let me move on through this. So our focus is on he got caught. And it exposes the kangaroo court. How does it expose the kangaroo court? So before I get into that, let me just say this to you. Welcome to class, family. Well, it exposes the kangaroo court. It exposes it in a sense that we fall for the, shall I say, the illusion of American progress, but also the illusion that everything is fair, and it's open, and it's just, and we push that thought into the system when it's really not there. And how did we buy into it? Well, they buy into it, as Dr. Amos Wilson liked to point out. How we buy into it is through what he like say, the game of rituals and ceremonies. Rituals and ceremonies. That's how we buy into it. But let's see where they stole from. Let me go back to something and point out something. Let me put this back up here. I want you to look at this for a moment, family. What did they steal from? Looking at this for a moment, it's a kangaroo court because their lady, so-called Lady Justice, is an imposter. I want you to pay close attention to her. Look at how her scale is. Look at her blindfold and her sword. All of these things, they're symbolism with a real message and a real meaning. But they stole this from family. Check that out. They stole that from this. And at the end of the video, I'm explaining. I want you to tell me what the difference is. Take a moment to study it, and I'm gonna share with you at the end why it's called a kangaroo court, because there are advantages in this system, or originated and designed for the advantages of white people, for a different set of rules to be applied. But enough on that. Let me move on forward in my video here and get back to how we get bamboozled with this system. We get bamboozled by the game of the system. With this thing right here, what did they do that had us bamboozled the most? Let me go show this right there. This is where we're bamboozled the most, and we buy into it. We really think it's real. We think it's something designed from on high and in heaven through these rituals and ceremonies, as Dr. Amos Wilson said. There, that man stood to swear for God that he would tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help him God. And we've been there. Some of us have been there. We've seen it or been in the place, and we begin to think that this thing has been some divine imposition from heaven, and the government of the United States is operating from the osmosis of the Most High, and there's nothing wrong. We've been bamboozled by those clever people to believe right into that. Yet this fool, what we was actually watching through this kangaroo court system, is a fool who was really to sit down and swear to you a lie. What did Winston Churchill say? He said, "I will protect a pack of lies to defend a pack of lies to accomplish my goal." Napoleon said that history is a lie agreed upon. So the myth of American history and the myth of European history is a lie agreed upon. These people will push a lie to accomplish their goal and present a lie as the truth. So what happened in the kangaroo court? This man was willing to sit down and tell you, through that maze of terms, that maze of the kangaroo game, to push another narrative, to make you confused, to push the doubt, to get you to suspend your common sense. I'm going to keep saying that. We've bought into this illusion of American progress. We've bought into the game of that is fair. We are the one who's pushing. Watch the white media talking heads. They get up there, black folks will get up there and say, if I was the defendant counselor, I'd be doing this, and I think it was a great day for the defense, and suspending their common sense. Because we really believe that there's objectivity. We really believe that there's going to be fairness. We really believe there's justice. Yet all the time, the game working was that maze of term to get you to suspend your common sense. Oh, it was a great day for the DA. Oh yeah, it was a great day. Nonsense, throwing you off, suspending your common sense. But here it is. This guy was ready to sit down and say, "Oh, he died from asphyxiation, like Mr. Floyd was just choking himself, and he was just taking a drug. You see that pill in his mouth, and everybody like, hey fool, who gonna be having some illicit drugs, some kind of contraband still in their mouth when the police got there? The reasonable police officer, thing. Well, he didn't actually say that, but he came down with the medical side because he was trying to be the solid expert. That's what the greatest liars and the highest liars, as Amos Wilson will tell you. The greatest liars are the news anchor people. The news people we watch, the news we are reading. Yeah. But the highest liars are those experts at those universities, those scholars. Oh yeah, they're the highest, because when you get an expert in, it gotta be the truth. Okay. But we fall for the games of the rituals of ceremony, rituals and ceremonies. I do something as well. Boom, 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 boom. Lie, and we'll sit down and lie right in our face. Let me get out of that. Move on into something else. I don't want this to be long. I want it to be a rather short, to the point video. But bear with me, family. So he sat down and he began his lie. And what? We get thrown off through that ritual, which basically sanitizes their action and before our very eyes. Is that it is the legitimacy through rituals and ceremony. The oath takers, and there's another message behind the oath takers. The oath taker is to maintain the order, the blue code. The oath takers all oath takers supposed to maintain the order. It's the blue code. It's the wall of silence. I'm talking about a larger thing. I'll get into that later. But taking that oath, it sanitizes their action right before our very eyes. It really does. And so what goes down is he's, like I've said, he's swearing that he's going to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, but he can sit down and begin to tell a lie. And so what I'm pointing out to you, family, is that the game is rigged. Clearly rigged. To white people's advantage. The verdict is in. That's the purpose of the kangaroo court. So these written laws get their validity and their impetus of importance to us after these rituals are done. So we can't think nothing else that it's real and it's the truth when it's bogus. It is extremely bogus. It's a game to set in a bogus activity. It's no more than a movie production happening. That's all that you see. A movie production happening. So laws are written and applied for the advantages of white people. And how can it be done so? Let's get into that. Let's get into that family real quick of how that is so. Move on through that. Move on through that. How so? First, let's talk about this. Again, I've said it gets you to suspend your common sense. We're going on over there. There we go. My machine want to move a little. So I got this old computer, family. We get that. That was not supposed to appear just yet. Let's go back over there. Take that out. Bear with me, family. I want this thing to get me back to my focus over here. Get that. There we go. It gets you to the scam gets us to sanitizes the system right before your very eyes. In effect, it gets us to suspend our ability to employ common sense. And so what I have to ask you is that through all the maze that they threw on us was, hey, let me put my knee on your neck for 9 minutes and see if you live. Ask yourself through that. Through this dialogue, fam. It seems like I got a mosquito in here that bit me on my little finger, threw me off for a moment. I could stay focused, but bear with me, families. I'm an expert. I like to be precise and thorough with what I'm doing. I like for it to be perfect. I'm not one of these shadow talkers who begin a conversation with you and get up and go back to answer the door and come back. If once I start this, I want it to get to the end, and it comes to the end solid and just right. So, pardon me for that. But again, as I'm following, that's what the game of this kangaroo court is for. I want you to think of it as a movie production. And like a director and a producer, director on the set, he's operating. You say, is it a conspiracy? Well, this thing is on autopilot, family. My people, this thing is on autopilot. And when you hear people talking about we can't do nothing about the past, that's basically the software programming to keep this thing on autopilot. Because they're saying we can't look at the past, and we can't go all the way back to the Constitution, the fugitive slave patrol, that group of people what the police department has become. We can't go back, so we can't look back at that. But we have to. People who say we can't do nothing about the past, we can't look back at the past, they're basically saying, hey, let the thing stay on autopilot. In effect, that's what they're doing. They may not verbalize it verbatimly, but that's what they're doing. And unless we look at the past and address the past and reconcile with the past and say this was wrong about the past and abolish that about the past, the thing will stay on autopilot. That's what we need to deal with. So the Fugitive Slave Patrol is what is now the police department. And the Fugitive Slave Patrol pursued slaves who had escaped. And check this out, Dr. Amos will point out. Here it is, if a slave escaped, the fugitive slave would go get him. And this is a matter between civil parties, or individual, not the government. But here's the United States government has a sheriff. They had badges. Policemen running around looking for the slave, brought him back dead or alive, most likely alive, but they didn't have no problem killing him. And if the slave tried to escape again, he was called a criminal and deemed a criminal by the United States government. Okay. It has sanctioned us being as the bottom caste. It sanctioned us being the inferior group. It sanctioned us the outlaw of our progress. And it has created the symbolism and the image and portraying of us as criminals that it carries over through even in customs and traditional, that it shows up in movies, shows up in videos. And we enact it on and carry out on our own, to our own demise. That's what's going down. We're looked upon as criminal. And I'm going to bring up that slide piece that you just saw again at the function of this, about the FBI UCR report that shows, hey, wait a minute. This predominant white people are committing just as many, arrested for many, the same number of crimes, if not more crimes, crimes on murder and rape and theft and all the other things as other groups are, but yet they're not the one filling the jails. That's why there's a different set of rules being applied to white folks as compared to black folks. Well, it seemed like, and I'll have the documentation for that, hey, it seems like, it's not that it seemed like, it is, that we're the ones that's filling up their jails for these, as if white folks ain't doing nothing. They're not committing murders. And again, that's where Mr. No good, this extreme fool, Derek, got caught. He messed up by being video. Let me move a little further right here, family. On what I'm saying, which gets you to suspend your common sense. You can't see what's going on because of the maze of terms they use to throw you into confusion. What are those maze of terms that they're using to throw us into confusion, family? Let me share with you some of these terms that really got us scammed for legitimized. Let me get that fixed. The legitimacy of these ambiguous terms. This English thing, I did my spell check and one slipped past me, but we'll work with that. Look at the verse that threw us off. It was legitimized by the use of words like intent. The scam of the kangaroo court is legitimized through the scam of these ambiguous terms. Intent. Did Chauvin get up that morning thinking he was going to kill George Floyd and act to do so? Well, apparently, because when he did meet George Floyd, he didn't seem to know how to stop. It was his intent then, based on the 12 jurors, that he meant to kill him. He didn't know that he needed to stop. Well, George Floyd, maybe he was non-compliant. What would a reasonable officer have done? What was the cause of death? The manner that, George Floyd just was fixated on his own because of the drugs and this kind of nonsense. He choking out there on his own. That's what that guy was with, ready to, not only ready but delivered, testify that he was asphyxiated. Like he was asphyxiated by himself. There was nobody out there but him, and George Floyd was just choking. Let me move a little further, family. I know I get it. Where seem to be the criminals? Yeah, apparently Chauvin walked out that day with a mindset that we're the usual suspect, and this man don't did something wrong, and we got to handle him, and we got to handle him any way we can. What did the defense attorney say? Hey, if reasonable deadly force required him to grab a can of paint and hit him over the head, he could do that, right? Idiot. Nonsense. Something he would never have done to a Becky if she was resisting. If she was trying to get away, he wouldn't turn around and grab a can of paint and hit her over the head. But yeah, that's the minds to throw that doubt in there. They say that's the reasonable police officer. But did that apply with another incident in the same city? No, family. I'm gonna show you about that in just a moment. Let's look at the factors why they come at us all the time, and when they really should be coming at themselves. Boy, so let's get this up here. Look at this report. Again, I like to point out 2016 FBI UCR Uniform Police Report. It clearly shows that white folks have committed a whole lot of crime, but for whatever reason, look at it, family. Let me bring it up closer where I can see it. Get it out of the studio mode and look at the numbers. According to the FBI Uniform Criminal Report 2016, things haven't changed. Murder, manslaughter, population, total, arrest. This is arrest. Total 9,300 or something. White people arrested for 4,192 murder. Black people 4,935. So we're a little bit above them, but statistically that makes no difference. So basically they should be profiling themselves when it comes to murder. Isn't that the case that we see in the mass shooting? We can't connect the dots. I connect the dot for you. The FBI already told you that the mass shooters that don't have mental ill, ain't 3 or 4 of them are down for mental problem. The rest of them is just them acting out. And who are the rest of them to turn out to be? White males. But no, he's not being profiled as the dangerous person. When a white person walks into the post office, I get a little nervous if I'm in the post office. I really do. A white man in that 30s range, because I don't know what's about to go down. Just talking real, family. Just talking real about it. So let's bring it back down in this where you can see me and bring that out of there. Bring that out of there. And get into what makes this a kangaroo and why is this thing on autopilot? How is it on autopilot? Well, it's on autopilot basically, family, because of the rule of law. What's the rule of law, family? The rule of law. The con in the Constitution. That's how this thing is on autopilot. The con of the con institution. Steve Coakley said that. I'm just paraphrasing some great conscious minds. The con in the Constitution. We've been conned to think this thing is for we the people. All the people know it's for we the people, as it said, themselves, and all the others were not considered people. In fact, poor white people were not considered people. That's why they're mad to this day. They know this thing was founded on exclusionary basis for wealthy white men. And then that wealthy white man were actually looking at two folds of exclusion. One is the haves versus the have-nots. So poor white folks would always outnumber them. That's what the concept of protecting that group from. There'll be always a greater number of have-nots than have, and the haves could easily come about and become majority in power and begin to write rules and regulations that take away the haves' advantages, wealth. And then there was the other exclusion of making sure that there was a permanent group, a reservation of menial labor that would supply the economy. And that was the slave. That was us, the African. That's the real deal. So it was the con in the Constitution. That's what's behind the writing of the Constitution. Check out Alton Maddox. He breaks it down for you real smooth. Alton Maddox breaks that down for you real quick. That you understand. That's the kangaroo-ness that I'm trying to get us to see, my people. That's the kangaroo-ness that I need us to see. So, if the real thing was like this, let me get back to documenting some factors for you here. When it comes to this thing right here happening, racial profiling. is what's going on. It's unconstitutional, but it's the thing that leads to us being locked up more than any other group. Look at this. Racial profiling, unconstitutional practices of the law enforcement targeting individuals due to the color of their skin. We know that. We don't need nobody to give us a scholarly paper to write about it and tell us that it's real. We already know. But let me I like putting the facts in front of you, that you see it for yourself. Here, this document and the Spencer report. It documents clearly. At the end of it, check it out for yourself. It has all of the bibliography of the footnotes where you can find out for yourself. But it points it out, and it's the best research that I could find on it. That even though it's looking at Louisiana, it's going on nationwide. You can apply this nationwide. I've shared this with you in another video about the stop and frisk. The New York ACLU showed how that was profiling. It was ineffective. But look at this. Police officers disproportionate focus on people of color means that they are disproportionately ticketed, arrested, prosecuted, and ultimately in prison. In 2016, for instance, black adults comprised only 30% of Louisiana adult population, but 53% of the adults who were arrested, and 67% of the adults in prison. That's the numbers that I need you to see. That we're profiled and arrested, and you build that number on. Look how that number leads to 53 arrested, 67% are in prison. Yet we're only 30% of the population. We're always the majority. More of us are locked up is what these numbers are saying. If you can trust their statistics for one thing, you darn sure can trust it for that. Look how the profile. Let me go on down to you and show how they profile real bad, family. It gets they stop black drivers with loud music. And this thing is going to show you. We get on down to the fact quickly here, without running over my time. It'll show you how profiling about loud music just exploded around around Baton Rouge. It just grows from inwardly outwardly. I want you to see this. It's unbelievable. But yeah, this is the game. Check this out. And again, wherever we are, there seems to be a problem. Wherever they are, there's not a problem. If I like to point out where it's still predominantly white, where it's still predominantly black, marijuana is legal. Where it's predominantly black, marijuana is illegal. That's what's going on, family. Again, it's a rigged kangaroo system. Different advantages and different rules apply to a different group. White people get an advantage while we are left out. Let me move a little further into it. The rule of law. How different was it? It was different in this case. Take him out and bring in. They had a similar incident, but this time the roles were reversed, and it was a black officer. And the black officer was, I'll bring him over here real quick. This officer here. They had it before. Different rules apply for different people. Look at the charges. They said, read the charges against the Minneapolis police officer Muhammad Noor in the death of Justin Ruskin, whatever her name. Check this thing out. This is madness, family. This conditioning that we saw in the case of Chauvin for murdering Floyd. You know, it was like, hey, there's that doubt. Reasonable police officer. Here in the case of Muhammad Noor, even though he was Islamic, he's a foreigner. Hey, black is black. And then when they were looking at it, they was like the media talk at that time in and around Minnesota was, hey, get him. He's going to get third degree murder. We're looking at 25 years. It was not a understanding language. It was punishment language. They want certainty with this guy. Even though he admitted to committing the crime. He admitted that what he was doing was he feared for his life. I'll get into some facts with you on that one. He feared for the safety of his partner. He admitted he did murder the woman who was there. But hey, He was shocked. The woman approached the car. He knew what was going on. Supposedly, she had witnessed a rape happening, and she wanted to report it. Okay, well, golly, that sounds suspect. But anyway, I ain't gonna diminish this woman being killed. All right, but listen to the conditioning that was going on at that time. There was not a talk of understanding. There was a talk of punishment. And as let me bring up, I think these people did it better at the time than I could possibly say it. Let's look at an NPR report at that time. Listen to it. And this is going to get back to the conversation with the clear people. That there's a different set of rules being applied. There's an advantage of the rules. Advantages to the rules being applied for white people compared to black people. Look at this family.
In Minnesota, where this current wave of protests began, 4 former police officers are facing charges in the death of George Floyd, who was killed in police custody on Memorial Day. And prosecutors point out that they have convicted an officer for killing a civilian once before, proof, they say, that the system can work. But as NPR's Leila Fadel reports, others see that case as yet another example that race plays a role in who gets justice.
There's only been one known conviction in sentencing of a police officer in Minnesota for murder. That's former Minneapolis police officer Mohammed Noor. He's Somali American and a Muslim. It comes up a lot at the protests in Minneapolis as an example of selective justice.
Look at the black cop that killed the white lady. He got 12.5 years and her family got $12 million or something like that?
That's protester Shakira Wilcox. The city actually paid $20 million to the family of Noor's victim, Justine Rochik Damon. State Attorney General Keith Ellison says Minnesota and the country have under-prosecuted police-involved killings. But Noor's case proves a police officer can be held accountable for the killing of an unarmed civilian. He's leading the prosecution of the officers involved in Floyd's killing.
We can't control the past. All we can do is take the case that we have in front of us right now and do our good faith best to bring justice to this situation, and we will.
I want you to check out that video for yourself, family, at another time. I can't get to it, but I want you to hear him say it. We can't do nothing about the past. We got to take the situation from where it is right now and deal with it. The clear people 9 times. So what's the rule of law telling us? Basically, it said what this is illustrating in this situation is Ellison is like, hey, and that report is going to show you. During that time of Noor, right before that time, we're talking about 2015, 2016, 2 other, it's going to point out in that report, this man failed to bring indictments against 2 other people, a police officer who used illegal force in the killing of black people. Did nothing about it. But yet today he want to stand in front of the world and say, oh, we can do it. We've got to cover up. That's grandstanding. That's that grandstanding. Clear people. No good, the no good, Negro. Non-threatening Negroes is what they would call them back in the day. So what would the advantage? What's the advantage that white people get? And this is why I say he violated the 12th Amendment. Had there not been a video, it would have been ruled a justifiable homicide. Had there not been a video, the cause of death would have been an accidental due to drug-induced asphyxiation leading to heart failure. That's what the kangaroo nonsense is about. This is about, family. That's what the kangaroo nonsense. Again, let me move a little further. I don't want to take too long on my talk here. Get that out. And without the video, a different set of rules, the black person would have been one accused of non-compliance. George Floyd was not complying. That's why he died out there. How did he die? We don't know. It's strange. He just had a heart attack. 2, police claims he was in fear of his life. 3, police report would have been rife with lies about attributing criminal acts to the black person. And 4, fellow police officer would have collaborated in criminal lies in the police report. Test line would have happened and went down. And Ellison would have went right along with it, which is what he's done in the past. Again, check out that NPR report about that I just shared with you. That's the verdict, family. It is a kangaroo court. The Constitution is on autopilot. And we are under the illusion that this thing has gotten better. We've overcome. And the conditioning in the media is to make you think. And it's not over because they're already still trying to protect their boy. They've tried to protect him now that he's been convicted. How are they trying to protect him? They're trying to protect him with, some nonsense now that there should be mitigating factors. Mitigating factors. What a mitigating factor? Well, according to the North situation, and I'm going to get into that, there's no such thing. So we are caught in this bamboozle. We believe that the system works. We believe in the myth of American progress. That this is the best country on the planet. The Constitution is the best document ever written. And you'll hear Negroes say, yes, it's the greatest document ever written. It's the best document ever written. Look how it can be changed and modified. Changes that make things remain the same as what's going down in front of us, family. That's the change that we've been made. So we get caught with the bamboozle game. We get out of the bamboozle game. Basically, is the rule of law is to keep this thing rolling on autopilot. So does the system work for us? We think the system is working for us. They're patting themselves on the back. That extreme police slant is being emphasized on the mitigating factors. And what are mitigating factors? Because they're trying to protect their boy. And so we believe the system works. That's why there's a question mark there. And that's why I'm stating they're patting themselves on the back. Because that's the Hollywood production to lure you in to think that this thing works great. It's the best thing going on. But we can't see the con happening right before our very eyes. I'm staying on point. Let me move and go ahead and wrap this up. Does it work? Mitigating factors? Well, let's look at this. According to, I'm gonna let you let you see this one yourself. According to this person, there's no such thing. There is no such thing. This is Judge Catherine Cointus. And I would let you hear the whole video, but I got to stop right here. Let me give you a little piece of her.
Mr. Noor continues to maintain there was no choice but to take the action he took, and that he was justified in firing his weapon to protect his partner.
So I'm going to stop right there. I can't play that whole thing. Basically, she gets into saying mitigating factors. That's a conditioning lie coming to you from the good old corporate media. According to this judge, there's no allowance for departure for someone based on their education, their background, their job history of being a police officer, a family and friend that they've overcome past challenges. This is what this woman was telling the Officer Noor after he was convicted of murdering that white woman. The law is this. Mandatory sentencing says, hey, this is what has to happen. We can't consider that you was a good person, because good people can do bad things. And then she really drilled down on him when she got through with that. She really drilled down on him. She said to him, because of this right here, I'll bring this over to your family, because you felt that you had no choice, you was justified in your action, you was doing it to protect your partner, you haven't even took responsibility for your action, has not acknowledged he could have handled the situation differently. Fear justified his extreme response, and there was no threat that existed. I told you, family, conditioning happening. Listen, look how the conditioning happening when we watching that convicted murderer. He was very arrogant. They played the video over and over. Held his knee on that man's neck for 9 months, even to the fire people came, the EMS, whatever they call. They asked him to get his knee off his neck. Shouldn't that fool have realized at some point he was supposed to stop having his knee on his man's neck? He ain't moving. What did the defense attorney say? The crowd was scaring him. So because of people on the sidewalks, as the crowd was scaring him, that he needed to continue to put his knee on my neck and throw me. Again, getting you to suspend your common sense. Let me put my knee on your neck for 9 minutes and see if you live, fool. That's what it's about. That's the real question. They want you to walk away from. That was deliberate intentional murder. We didn't need 12 people to tell us that. The world knew that. And Ellison couldn't help but to get on the bag because, again, it was video. Otherwise, he been singing his same old song he was singing in the past. He was one with the justified homicide. Like, we got this. Again, he's the club people. We got one here a new one in Cobb County, Georgia. Black man, DA. He justifiable homicide when a police officer shot a young black man in the back running from him after allegedly stealing a car. Again, the Supreme Court has already ruled that an individual running from you does not pose a threat. But the clear Negro, the no non-threatening Negro who became district attorney, first black one in Cobb County, went right along with the program. It's on autopilot, family. I see I can get into a lot of areas. I'm really pushing it a long way. I'm going to wrap this up. But again, she said, hey. And what she stated to, I'll call her Judge Q, said to Noor, this same judge needs to say to Chauvin at his sentencing. Because this is his arrogant look and stance as he was sitting up writing notes like he was going to write a book, said one of the nuts on the talking heads on court TV. He was looking story. He was trying to keep his mind off the fact that, hey, he don't effed up. He violated the 12th Amendment. He got videoed. That's what that was about. Okay. This is what this current judge needs to be delivering because according to them, this is the law. Minnesota law does not allow for departure because you was a good person and you was a police officer. But because you did it this way, you felt you had no choice. Wasn't that what they were talking about? Reasonable police officer. You didn't feel like you needed to take another, he didn't take responsibility for his action. Couldn't handle the situation different. That was the best way reasonable police officer could have done it, was to keep his knee on his neck for 9 minutes. Goddamn idiot. They sit there and try to play you off with saying, oh, this is a reasonable police officer perspective somewhere in some kind of police training that makes him blameless. That's goddamn fools that we live with. So that's what we're dealing with, family. According to that, that's the way it should be. Whatever. So what do we get to see? We got to see this. And I'm happy we got to see that. The moment that they revoked his bond and led his butt behind the door, like we normally see the perp walk that happens to black folks, we got to see this. I had to put this in the family. Go on, man. We don't need to see you no more. We don't need to see it no more. Now, that's enough of that. To bring that out. And then we move on to this, family. What the judge should be considering is this, the aggravating factors. That's under Minnesota law. According to the mandatory sentences of Minnesota law, the aggravating factors should be 1, murder, the felony murder committed in the presence of a minor. No remorse. Number 2, 3, justified inaction. 4, did not consider other options. 5, does not take responsibility for his act. 6, fear justified extreme response. He was fearful, said his defense attorney. So yeah, they should be talking like they was talking with Noor. 25 years on that 3rd degree, 10 on that 2nd. They was going after that brother hard. Even though he an immigrant, I'm gonna have to call him a brother because he got that melanin. But again, I do have a different stand between immigrants and ADOS. There's a difference for us, but I'm just saying, all blackness is not the same, but all blackness will get treated the same when it comes to the kangaroo court system that we're living with, family. My people, that's what I'm pointing out to you. Yeah, I'll make that clarity for you right here. So, as I really get ready to get out of this, those are the factors that should be considered. And that's I've took a long time looking over my notes to make sure I just ended with this part right here again, focusing on this non-threatening, no good Negro. I like to say that other Nigga word. That's why I trip up on my words, family. Right there, I'm about ready to say that no good. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But this non-threatening Negro. That's why they're in place, family. It's one of the clear people. Bring him over there for you. He's one of the clear people. He's a clear people. He's in place for a purpose, to keep the kangaroo court system functioning, to keep this thing on autopilot, to keep this thing that as it was designed from the beginning, from its conception, to operate just as it is designed to do. We have an enemy. And we don't realize it. We think we've overcome, but we don't realize we have not. We're in the same position. And so you get old Biden's making his statement. You get old no good Kamala coming out making her statement, who said she'll never do anything for black people. Ha 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 ha. Talking about her family fought for her family left for Canada. What's she talking about? But she has the audacity to feel that she can, rewrite her history because she's the vice president. That she fought for also back in California. She was trying to allude to when she was locking up black women for truancy. It wasn't the white women she was trying to lock up. She was just showing those white folks of power in California that she'll do exactly what she's supposed to do, and be hard on black folks. You can trust me. So put me in power. I'm going to make sure they stay down. And I'm going to attack the black woman. He got no problem with me. But y'all, this is like she understands us. Talking about this is what black folks been going on, dealing with since the start of this country. Yeah, in her philosophy, she has no problem looking at us. When they talk equality, family, I got to get you to understand it. To them, it is a God concept of the natural order of things. Because if their faith system tells you that you're from the butt of God or you're from the bottom, then equality for you is bottom treatment. Don't let them fool you there. You're trying to impart, as Dr. John Henry Clark said, you're trying to impart from them your humanity. You're trying to give them your humanity, thinking they wouldn't think like that. No, you wouldn't think like that. They think just like that. And here, this no good man, Biden, talking about, this thing was going too far. And he is the author, implementer of, mass incarceration. Again, his mindset is totally different from ours. So to them, that's natural for them to talk these lies as if they really care. And to have you believe that the system works for you. That's to keep you bound into it. That's enough on that, family. So, but yeah, this is the purpose of this man, the clear people. I had to put something in on him, and now I need to end with just looking at this factor here, family. What did I want you to understand as I get ready to get out of this? Lady Justice is an imposter. As we've long pointed out years ago, she is peeking. She's looking at who's standing up for her. She's not really blind. Her scales are not equal. Her scales are, as you can see, one is tilted over. So it's already rigged. One is already tilted down. That means that a force already has an advantage over you. What force is that? That force is white folks. Is all white folks evil? No, I saw there was some good white people, but like again, Muhammad Ali said, I know there's some good white people trying to fight for me. I'm paraphrasing him again. This 1,000 trying to stop the 10,000 from lynching me. Hey, it just ain't gonna happen. Something gonna bit me. I'm gonna get out of this so I can see what it was that crawled up and bit me. Family, to get out of my video. So she has a sword, and sometimes her sword, she don't have a sword when it comes to dealing with white folks. But when it comes to dealing with us, she has that sword, and she's ready to swing that sword and cut our head off. She's ready to deliver hard punishment. That's the imposter. Then we compare no good Lady Justice to this, who they stole it from. Maya and Anubis. The scales are not unequal. Yeah, she has her eyes open because she did need to see who's standing before her. Don't let them get you on that game, the parties in front of the court. The parties are another way of making it seem like it's some out of the way thing. I know I'm kind of reaching there for you. Like they talk about systematic racism. Systematic racism is systematic people Let me make sure I put that in this. This systematic racism is being ran by people. These are the descendants of the ancestors, the people who started the systematic racism. So we have to look at people. That's the point I want to connect back to when I reference to Muhammad Ali. There's some good white folks out there. But they just seem like they're always outnumbered by the evil ones who don't know what it really means to be fair and objective and just. To start it out that way. They got the thing rigged. And some white people recognize that they're not in the club, as I like to point out. They're not in the club too. That this thing was not designed for them. So with that being said, I've said a lot, family. I want to get out of this. I've reached 1 hour. So enough being said. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video, that you share, you take the message, and see that we're faced with a kangaroo court. And we know we are. We know it's a kangaroo court, family. I don't have to say that. I think everyday people already realize that. But it need be said at this point. I want to put this out there so that I ended on sharing, hey, the kangaroo court game ain't even over. They're trying to make it even better for the man even after he's been convicted by talking about some nonsense that don't even exist. And that's this mitigating factors. The real factors that he's looking at is the what? The aggravating factor. But again, my point in doing all that I do is that you are aware. And that once you are aware, you do your work. And others with the eyes will see. And ears to hear will respond. And they will be aware. And that's all I want to make that before you say that to your family. So enough being said. Let me get out of this. I've talked a lot. Be sure to like, share, and comments, and let's be wise. The educator in me, I'm always saying, class is now dismissed, but one more time, I really want to make sure that you share, like, and comment. Now, let's be wise. Class dismissed.